All right, so if you've ever gotten into web development, you know the feeling. You're immediately drowning in a sea of acronyms, right? MEN, MERN, MEVN. It's like, what do they even mean? Well, today, we're going to crack that code. We're going to break down exactly what these toolkits are and how they power some of the biggest apps you use every single day.
And really, to get why these stacks are such a big deal, you have to look at this quote. Any application that can be written in JavaScript will eventually be written in JavaScript. Jeff Atwood said that, and boy was he right. It's the whole reason we're talking about this. See, JavaScript used to just be for the front end, the stuff you see in your browser, but now it's everywhere. And these stacks, MEN, MERN, and MEVN, they're built on this idea of using JavaScript for the entire application, front to back. That's the game changer.
Okay, so let's start decoding. First things first, before we even get to the letters, what in the world is a stack anyway?
The easiest way to think about it is like building a house. You can't just have walls, right? You need a foundation, you need the frame, the plumbing, the electrical. All those pieces have to work together. A tech stack is the exact same thing, but for an application. It's the whole collection of tools, the database, the server logic, the user interface that you need to build a complete working piece of software. It's the whole shebang.
Now here's the interesting part. Before we dive into what separates these stacks, we've got to talk about what they all have in common. And it turns out they share a pretty solid foundation. Let's break down the M, the E, and the N that you'll find in all three.
First up, the M stands for MongoDB. This is your app's database. Think of it like a giant magical filing cabinet. Now, old school databases were super rigid, like spreadsheets with strict columns. If you wanted to add something new, it was a whole process. But MongoDB, it's way more flexible. It stores data in these JSON-like documents, which is perfect for modern apps where data can get messy. You know, user profiles with different fields, posts with tags, that kind of stuff. It just handles it.
All right, next we've got E for Express.js. So if MongoDB is our filing cabinet, Express is kind of like the set of rules or the blueprint for the back end. It's not the engine itself, but it gives you a clean, organized way to handle all the requests coming in from users. It's the framework that helps you build your APIs and server-side logic without having to reinvent the wheel every single time. Super helpful.
And that brings us to N for Node.js. This is the big one. This is the engine that makes the whole backend run. You see, for ages, JavaScript was trapped inside the web browser. That's all it could do. Node.js came along and completely blew that open. It let developers run JavaScript on the server. Suddenly, you could use the same language for everything, front and back. That was, and still is, a massive deal.
So how does this all fit together? Imagine you're at a restaurant. You, the user, are at the table. You make a request, but say you click like on a photo. That request goes to the kitchen, which is our back end. Node.js is the head chef, and Express.js is the system that organizes the orders. The chef says, okay, I need to record this like, so it goes to the pantry, MongoDB, and updates the data. Then, instead of bringing you a whole new plate, the waiter just brings you back a confirmation, a little bit of data. Your screen updates that one little heart icon without reloading the entire page. That's why these apps feel so snappy and smooth.
Okay, so now that we've got the foundation down, the M, E, and N are our constants, it's time for the main event. This is the big difference between our three stacks. It all comes down to that one letter in the middle, the A, the R, or the V. This is the front end, the face of the application. It's what you actually see and click on. And this is where developers have to make a really big decision.
Let's break them down. Think of Angular, the A and MEN, as a complete all-in-one toolbox. It comes with everything you need, and it has a very specific way it wants you to build things. It's structured, it's comprehensive. Then you have React, the R in MERN. React is less of a full toolbox and more of a specialized, powerful tool. It's a library that focuses just on building the user interface, giving you the freedom to pick and choose your other tools. And then there's Vue, the V in MEV. Vue is kind of the best of both worlds. It's a lightweight framework that's incredibly easy to pick up, and it learns from both Angular and React to give you a really pleasant, powerful experience.
So let's look at the MERN stack first, with React. What's great about it? Well, its community is absolutely massive. If you have a problem, someone has already solved it. It's super flexible, and it's built for creating those slick, single-page applications. Think of something like your Instagram feed, where you just keep scrolling and new content appears without the page ever reloading. That's React's bread and butter. Now, the downside? All that flexibility can be a double-edged sword. Without a strong team and clear rules, your code can get a little chaotic.
And you don't have to look far to see MERN in action. I mean, we're talking about the absolute giants. Facebook literally invented React. Instagram runs on it. Netflix, Airbnb, Uber. These are companies that live and die by their user experience, and they trust MERN to deliver it. Okay, let's switch gears to the MERN stack, which uses Angular. Now, Angular is Google's baby. It is a full-blown, heavy-duty framework. This is what you reach for when you're building a massive, complex, enterprise-level application. It enforces a lot of structure, which is fantastic for big teams, but that same structure can feel really rigid and overly complicated if you're just trying to build a small, simple app. The learning curve is definitely steeper here.
And just look at who uses it. We're talking about companies like IBM, PayPal, Microsoft, The Guardian, Forbes. These are organizations that need rock-solid, predictable, and highly structured applications, and that's exactly what MERN delivers. And last but not least, we have the MEVN stack running on Vue.js. Vue is kind of the rising star in this world. Developers love it because it's so easy to learn, it's incredibly fast, and it just feels elegant. It really does take some of the best parts of React and Angular and puts them together. The only real catch? It's the youngest of the three, so its community and the number of available plugins, while growing like crazy, still aren't quite on the level of React or Angular. Yeah.
But don't think that means it's only for small projects. Not at all. The e-commerce behemoth Alibaba uses Vue. So does GitLab, Xiaomi, Euronews. These are major, high-traffic platforms that rely on Vue's speed and simplicity to get the job done.
All right, so we've seen what they are, the good, the bad, and who's using them. That brings us to the million-dollar question, right? How on earth do you choose which one is right for your project?
And let's be really clear about something. This isn't about finding the one best stack. It's about finding the best stack for you, for your project, for your team, for your goals.
So you have to ask yourself a few key things. First, what are you building? Is this a huge, sprawling corporate application or a quick prototype you need to get out the door? What does your team already know? Because let's be honest, the fastest tool is often the one your team is already an expert in. And then you have to think about the future. How big will this get? Do you need massive community support? How quickly do you need to build it? All these things matter.
Okay, before we wrap this all up, there's one last big idea I want to leave you with.
And here it is. Spoiler alert, there is no winner here. Anyone who tells you MERN is always better or you should only use MERN is missing the point. They're all fantastic tools. The real skill isn't knowing which one is best. It's about understanding the trade-offs and picking the right one for what you're trying to build.
So let's put it this way. If you're building a massive enterprise-grade app and you need structure above all else, you're probably looking at MERN. If you're building a slick, fast, single-page app and you want ultimate flexibility with a huge support network, MERN is your best bet. And if you just want to build something performant and elegant and you want to get started fast, MEVN is calling your name.
But you know what? Don't forget this crucial bit of advice. These stacks, they're just popular recipes. You are the chef in this kitchen. You don't have to follow them exactly. You can absolutely swap out ingredients. Want to use React on the front end but connect it to a Python backend? Go for it. Want to use Node.js but with a different database? You can do that too. Nothing is set in stone.
And that's really the key takeaway here. Maybe the question isn't which stack should I use? Maybe the better question is which tools are the right ones for the job I'm doing right now? When you start thinking that way, you're not just following a trend, you're actually engineering the best possible solution for your project. And that's way more powerful.